All right. Looking here at the gameplay, it looks like we are ready to start things off here. Greetings, everyone. Welcome tonight to the Xbox Roundtable Podcast, with this being show number 237. Your one stop shop on Sunday nights for Xbox talk and a little more from around the game industry. Of course, this is your host, Invader, and I gotta say that. Oh, shoot. Wait a sec. Did I set this up right? I cannot tell. Oh, okay. It looks like we are live. Sorry, I thought I didn't set it up right, guys. But yeah, guys, I'm really happy to be here. I'm Invader, and yeah, so tonight, we gotta cover. We got a lot of topics on the docket tonight. Recent documentation suggests that Sony is worried about Xbox owning the Call of Duty franchise. We'll go into all the detail of that. As well, Xbox seems to have secretly made the Xbox Series S console better. Plus, you know what? There seems to be an announcement for Xbox Game Pass Family Plan. I mean, hey, that all sounds pretty good to talk about, right? But you know what, guys? We have lots to talk about, and I feel really privileged tonight to be around all my awesome castmates and the wonderful people in the chat. And I hope that everyone has had an awesome weekend. But yeah, that's saying that. Why don't we start off by introducing everybody on the panel, starting off with General MLD. Buddy, how you doing?
Hey, good to be here. I had a pretty good week overall. Just really putting a lot of time into Borderlands 3, just finishing off that trilogy there, and yeah, having a great time with that. Playing a couple other games on the side, but yeah, a lot of news to talk about. Can't wait to get into it.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, you are correct on that. Moving on over to Centurion, Mr. Tombstone himself. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Had a nice, relaxing weekend, living the real Red Dead Redemption in Tombstone, Arizona. Haven't been able to play too much games as a result of that, but I almost feel like I was living a game because they do a really damn good job of making sure that place looks exactly the way it was from way back when. So definitely excited to be able to talk to you guys about games and come back into the world of technology.
Agreed. Yeah, you know what? I would love to visit something like that. Sounds, very rustic, going back in time. I mean, you gotta love, the Western
There's
theme.
something about just climbing in a horse-drawn carriage and taking a ride around a town that literally looks like time stood still.
No, hey, and I agree with you on that. I love my old-timey stuff. I harken back to the old days. What can I say? Moving on down here, Eric Shockley, brother, how's things going on at your end?
My bad, that was muted.
No worries.
Oh, not too much. Just been trying to clean up my office, get it ready. But man, I have it's just so much cable management I'm trying to get done with my entertainment center. But yeah, just ready to get in these topics. Definitely had some interesting news. It's I'm sure we'll probably in the coming months as it gets closer and closer, to this Activision deal getting done. There's going to probably be more, which we'll get into here, but more stuff thrown around as far as regulators and what's fair, what's not. So, but we'll get into it. But yeah, ready to roll.
Yeah, you said it, man. You said it. Who else do we got here? Oh, Crusader, buddy. Great to see you back here. How have you been?
So I've returned to the land of the living. For anyone who isn't aware from last week, I got really, really sick like a couple hours before the show. Probably the sickest I've ever been in my life. Pinched nerve in my neck and some migraine and stuff. Better now. And I have been grinding out some stuff in Destiny 2. It's the end of the Solstice of Heroes in Destiny 2, so I'm trying to get all my glowy armor on all my characters. And then I just started Horizon Forbidden West. And that game feels like if Horizon Zero Dawn was an experiment, Forbidden West is like the results of that experiment getting like full funding. Like I love it.
All right, good to know. Good to know. Again, I've started a little bit of the first Horizon Zero Dawn, and yeah, it seems pretty cool so far. But yeah, I've heard some good things about Forbidden West as well. That's great to hear. Glad to see that you're enjoying that. Let's see. Just so you know, guys, Tim may be here later on. He's just running a little behind, but hopefully he'll be with us later on in the show. Don't forget that, hey, to share the show out and let everybody know that we are live. And hey, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and give it a like, as every little bit helps. Believe me, I try not to do the whole shilling thing, but like it helps. Everybody's got to do it, unfortunately, on the YouTube scene. So, hey guys, if you could share us out and do the likes, that would be very much appreciated. And hey, just to everybody joining us, it's great to have you here, whether it be in the chat or tuning in live. Always welcome, always welcome, always great to see you. But on that note, guys, why don't we start off by talking some Call of Duty? And Sony seems to be worried that Xbox owning the franchise could possibly influence users' console of choice. Of course, that means consumers switching from PlayStation consoles to Xbox. And, this is the company's response to questions from specifically the Brazilian regulatory boards. So it's their official word, interestingly enough. General MLD, buddy, I'll lead off with you on this one tonight with this topic. What do you think of Sony's response to this report? Do you get a sense of concern from them at all?
Oh yeah, there is just so much to unpack here. Hopefully I can remember everything, but this will be talked about, I think, for months, if not years, because there's a lot to unpack, essentially. I think on one hand, Sony, they're just saying what they got to say to kind of just, maybe throw whatever wrench they can into the mix. But I think we all know what's going to happen. This thing is going a lot more smooth than anybody could have ever anticipated. So they do, I think they are legitimately concerned. I think because there's no way they can compete with COD. Neither Xbox nor PlayStation could, but now it's not Xbox's problem because now they own them. Like going off the top of my head here, you got holiday bundles and marketing. Now, during the PS4 generation, that was a big differentiating factor. Like, you only see the PlayStation logo on the commercials. You see a holiday bundles only for PlayStation. A lot of casuals will essentially, I think, turn to Xbox a little bit over and over the years as this deal is completed and Call of Duty is firmly in Xbox's camp. Even though it's multiplat, that's the beauty of it all. I think it's just perception is reality, and if all you see is an Xbox logo, you will put Call of Duty and Xbox in the same light. That's just human nature, I think, and Sony knows this, Xbox knows this. Now, they also cannot compete with it. They haven't made a first-person shooter in the better part of a decade. Insomniac with Resistance, Guerrilla with Killzone. Neither one really moved the needle, even during each series' best days when they were relevant. The best thing Sony has is actually Bungie, but Bungie could never do a annual or even semi-annual release of a first-person shooter. And even then, Call of Duty is so massive; it's more than just the annualized games. Call of Duty Mobile is actually incredibly popular, and then you have Warzone, which is free to play. On top of the campaigns that come every so often. So there's no way Sony can have anything that can compete on this level. And yeah, they have to voice that concern. But it's just funny how they were the only ones that voiced this concern. All other publishers, they were okay with it. And ultimately, there is a hint of irony in the air because Sony is all about denying high-profile third-party games. Like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was supposed to be 1 year, and we're 2 years in with zero window when that's coming to Xbox. Same goes for Forspoken, Final Fantasy 16, and that's just from Square. So they are no stranger to denying third-party games, and here they go, saying, "Oh, we're concerned that Xbox is making third-party games into first-party." But is still multi-platform. It's still on PlayStation. End of the day, they're not shutting down the Warzone servers for PlayStation. They're keeping it on. Xbox is very progressive, and I think we can all agree on some level. If the shoe was on the other foot, would Sony be as generous? I don't think so. So,
I want to respond to that. Yes, they have.
Sure.
Identifiably, they already have with the Bungie acquisition, right?
I'd say that's the exception to the rule.
Are going
But
to be
that's me.
multiple. I think it's how they have to exist in the modern era if they want to continue expanding. Same with Xbox, because they are a market leader and they're buying a very, very powerful game with the Bungie acquisition, right? In my opinion, all they want from this acquisition, or all Sony's trying to do in that statement, is to force it into writing with the regulatory agencies that Microsoft has to keep those things multi-platform. Because Microsoft at this point has a verbal agreement to do so. They want a written agreement. And the FCC, or the FTC, not FCC, FTC, Brazilian's regulatory people and everything, they can't necessarily force any company to do anything when it comes to these things. However, they can create signed agreements based on these acquisitions with requests that they're making so that they won't take them to court. And all I see with Sony saying, like, hey, this could influence the largest game franchise currently going, we don't want that to go exclusive because that would damage us. All they're trying to do is getting Microsoft to put it down in writing that they won't do it and create it as a legally binding contract. And that's a smart business decision.
Okay, and that's fair. But okay,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of gamers, though, myself included, we think that they're going to go through the contractual obligations, just like with Bethesda. So this Call of Duty, then Warzone 2.0, and the Call of Duty schedule for 2024. But then after that, again, but we're talking, at least a few years from now.
Bro, can I interject
after
on that one?
They have, I don't think they have any obligation to keep the annualized Call of Duties on PlayStation going after 2024. And I think I think you're right. Sony would like that to be in writing, to be a little more permanent. But Xbox, I don't think they have any. They don't have to keep honoring these things after the contracts are done. So long as Warzone is still active for PlayStation, I think they're fulfilling their obligations regardless. And in the long term, this will definitely benefit Xbox, if not in the short term with holiday bundles and marketing, but long term with actual annualized Call of Duties being console ecosystem exclusive. So I think that's the overall
think that
threat.
ever happens.
Can I please interject?
Possibly.
Yeah, go
Not
ahead.
Okay, because I've had other people on other shows flip out on me for wanting to quote FTC law, but to put it out there, the FTC does not approve anything. They just let the timetables expire. If by some chance Microsoft starts basically cleaning house with like a knife through butter and cutting down the competition from this acquisition, the FTC at any time could come in, whether it's 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and say, we've changed our minds.
Yep.
They are legally allowed to do this, and they could come in and say, guess what, Microsoft? Divide yourself from Activision right now. And they can't do a damn thing about it other than team up with a bunch of lawyers and try to prevent it from happening. But if the FTC comes through and says, nope, you created a monopoly, divide the company right now. And
That's
they
correct
can't
to a
stop that.
point.
But
correct
that's
to a
where they
point.
have to keep certain things multi-plat, because if at any time they start looking like they're cleaning house, it's going to look real freaking bad. That's why when the Activision thing came out and literally Sony's stock dropped when it came out that Microsoft was going to purchase Activision, which is why Phil Spencer came out and made the statement he did, because he had to stop the hemorrhaging, because if by some chance it caused hemorrhaging on that level just from an announcement, he knew damn well the FTC would come in and nix it real quick.
Okay, fair enough. But I can
the
counter with the
FTC
market share, though. You compare
Yeah,
Switch.
Market share,
Switch
you're right. Market share,
Yes.
you're right.
So they can
Oh.
do it, but if Xbox is still behind in console sales to Switch and PlayStation, they legally have every right to want to catch up and
Well-
close the gap.
Well, it's really interesting with the whole situation. I put it out there a long time ago on Twitter as a joke because everybody was hurrahing, oh, Final Fantasy VII Remake is on PlayStation. It's an exclusive. It's an exclusive. And I put it out there, be careful what you wish for. All of Sony's third-party deals for exclusivity to create fake exclusiveness. And I call it fake exclusiveness because I'm sorry, but if you're paying something to be exclusive, you're faking it. You didn't create it. You're just paying it out.
Yep.
And
Third party.
it is, and it's third party. And that's where all these third party deals that everybody's been championing over the years, that is nothing but ammunition that Microsoft has loaded into the chamber, and they are taking shots at Sony hard right now. They're like, oh, look at Spider-Man and the Marvel thing. That is technically something that was created in another industry, and it's become exclusive, and they're controlling it. They have all this control with Marvel franchises. They have created things with Final Fantasy and Square Enix. Literally, Sony realizes at this point they have fucked up, because they know that all these third-party deals that they've been making over the past generation and including into this generation is about to bite them in the proverbial ass.
Yes.
I do want to say one thing about the FTC. The FTC itself actually doesn't declare something a monopoly in any case. What they have to do is they say that this is a monopoly and we will prove it in court.
Oh, yeah, it turns into a giant court battle, yeah.
Always a judge who will determine whether or not the FTC's case is valid. So even if 10 years down the line they did say, hey, this is a monopoly and you need to break up, then it would go to an arbitration between the FTC and Microsoft, and then it would go to the courts, depending on if neither side ended up happy with what they determined. Which is the same thing that would happen here if the FTC decides to try to block the acquisition in the first place. They don't block the acquisition, right? They say that we don't think this acquisition should happen. We're going to take it to the federal court and sue you to stop. And then they have to prove that in court. No one, the FTC and Microsoft, don't want that to happen, right? Like neither of them want to spend money in court to do things. So that's why they come up with these agreements that's like, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z as part of an agreement with us that is binding to the point that we won't take you to court and you maintain your business operations in such a way, then we won't sue over it. And that's how all of this has existed. And if you want to see something where the FTC has acted 10 years in the past or like 10 years in the future, like Centurion stating, look at them. I think it was announced last year. They're suing Meta or Facebook for, because they changed their company to a horrible name. They're suing them over what is Instagram. And they want them to divest Instagram because you are. They're making them unwind the deal that took place over 10 years ago. Now, this, I don't think an official court date or anything has been set with that. Like, this is something where right now they are going back and forth with each other to determine, does this go to court or can we convince the FTC that this isn't true, things like that. Now, Microsoft has more again, I foresee the Call of Duty franchise being along the lines of Minecraft just because of how big it is and how much money the service itself makes. Maybe the campaigns go exclusive if they divide and conquer up the entire franchise, that single player aspect, but that multiplayer aspect, the battle pass sales, the MTX sales, they eclipse what like the entirety of Bethesda brings in a year in revenue, right? Like one game eclipses everything that Bethesda did in 1 year, right? And I never foresee them even necessarily wanting to take the Call of Duty multiplayer segments away from anyone. If anything, I think they're going to put it on the Switch like they did with Minecraft post-acquisition. Minecraft didn't exist in the Nintendo sphere until after Microsoft bought them. It didn't exist on iOS until after Microsoft bought them. I don't see a universe where Microsoft doesn't do this. Sony just wants to protect one of its most important revenue sources, which is the MTX sales that go through their marketplace that cut them 30%.
Oh, they're more concerned about that little logo you see at the end of the trailer with that play on PlayStation. That's all they're concerned about, is that's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, and they're going to end up losing their marketing. That's going to be the biggest thing. They'll end up losing the marketing. They'll end up losing the ability to bundle consoles with Call of Duty stuff. They'll end up losing the ability to get their
the exclusiveness to like
modes,
early
the
maps
spec
and
ops
stuff like
modes
that.
the early access. They're going to lose all that stuff. What they don't want to lose, and because they're going to try and be like, look at what we're losing. That kind of stuff, that's never going to fly, because there's so many other franchises that they do it with that no reasonable court, no reasonable arbitration sector. Microsoft can point to 1.5 billion examples and be like, it's not like we're taking everything from them. This is one thing, but in a pond of many. The thing that they have an actual fighting argument for is the fact that the top selling games on their platform every freaking year are the current Call of Duty and the Call of Duty from last year. Like if you go and look at the NPD sales on any platform that has Call of Duty, whether it be PlayStation or Xbox, and the top 2 games every year are Call of Duty and Call of Duty. Like the Call of Duty from the previous year and the Call of Duty that just released are the top games of the year, right? And Sony can definitively say that it would damage their business to lose that third party existing on their platform. And Microsoft sees that. Microsoft's not stupid. They know that this is going to be a thing going in. They're a $2 trillion company. Things don't catch them by surprise when they're purchasing things. So they know that they're going to have to keep, to an extent, a lot of the Call of Duty content on that platform. They're not stupid. They've said as much. What they want is that hyper casual game falling day and date in Game Pass, which it might not happen next year because of the Sony having marketing rights, right? It might not happen immediately, but that's what they want. They want that casual game, and they want those mobile games that King makes, and they want the PC games that Blizzard makes, and they want the other Activision titles like Spyro and Crash and stuff to supplement Game Pass and to supplement it in the future, and for future franchises that are brand new to only be on Xbox. And at the end of the day, Sony just wants to make sure that their business can continue as normal as possible, and so that's what they're going to fight for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting whenever this deal closes up. I'm hearing a lot of different dates myself popping up. A lot of people think it's going to be sooner rather than later, especially if you look at Sony and Bungie's deal. That closed relatively quickly. But, it's very curious when you brought up Game Pass there, Crusader. That's going to be a big deal to a lot of people.
Yes.
And I think, Sony has every right to be worried in a lot of ways because, again, it takes away a huge, huge game away from them. And if people are able to get those titles in Game Pass, especially newer games day one, ooh, that is gonna kill them. Like it's gonna affect them majorly, no doubt about it. Of course, it's gonna affect people.
I can't remember who. There was a market analyst. I think it was on an actual. I don't know if it was like which like live channel that covers the stock market that it was on in the U.S. But they were talking about how they think that this could push Microsoft over 100 million subs. Now, to me,
Michael Proctor.
Like an overreach of someone who doesn't understand the market. But I do agree that it's going to cause an explosion with that analyst, that it will cause an explosion in subs at the first time Call of Duty's day and date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't often agree with Pactor. I think he's been off on a lot of things, but
okay.
Yeah, it was Pactor on Yahoo Financials or something. Anyways, yeah. Either way, I think everybody knew once that deal was announced. Yeah, it was a big deal, a very big deal, and it's gonna cripple Sony in a lot of ways going forward. Maybe not the first year, but I'd be curious. The couple of years after that, moving forward, a Game Pass is going to eat into everything. Yep.
We don't know when the first Call of Duty will launch day one. That's a big thing, because we don't know. None of us have seen the terms of Sony's PlayStation agreement. We know it was supposed to extend through 2023. Now, we don't know if it was tied to a certain amount of titles, and the last title happened to be the 2023 one, which now might be the 2024 one. We don't know if it was just for like X years we have a contract with you. And with that marketing contract, it also depends on when that marketing contract was signed, if there was any terms about going on to services, because older PlayStation agreements, we know for a fact, didn't have those, because there was a couple weird games that were like, they were timed in marketing rights to Sony, but they came to like PC Game Pass immediately because there was no terms in there that said they couldn't go on like a competitor's service. And so few newer ones like Resident Evil 8, we've seen those contracts. We've seen the contract in person. There's a great Hogue Law did a great overview of that contract when it leaked, and there's actual terms in there now that's, you know, so it doesn't damage the value that they're putting forward with their shared marketing plan, that they can't go into a competitor's service. Makes total sense for a marketing agreement because you're wasting your marketing money otherwise. But we don't know if those kind of terms are in the Call of Duty one, because it may have been signed long before anything, when any time before Game Pass was even thought of as a thing. So it'll be very interesting to see when the newest Call of Duty and when a brand new Call of Duty hit the service.
To build on that, based on what the analyst said, I think PC is by far the most untapped market. If you want to get to 100 million subs, you got to leverage PC a lot more than what they're doing right now. Windows Store, great. I mean, it's built into it, fine. I think they got to do something with Steam more than what they're doing right now. But even Battle.net, I think people are neglecting that now. They're going to control Battle.net now with all the Blizzard and Activision games on it. If you can integrate Game Pass into Battle.net, I think that'll also give a big boost as well. Even like spitballing, like give an incentive for, say, World of Warcraft players to play off PC Game Pass, and they'll get a perk or something. Like there's so many things that they can do to boost those numbers up.
Well, and they could do stuff with mobile too. Has anyone played any of the Microsoft? It's literally called Microsoft Casual Games. That's Solitaire, Mahjong, right? Well, if you have Solitaire loaded up on your phone, the Microsoft the Microsoft Games version of it, and you sign in with your Microsoft account that has a Game Pass associated with it, you actually get the ad-free version of that Solitaire. And like they could do the same thing with games like Candy Crush.
Shit, yeah.
And give people, you know, it's not going to affect people like us. Like I'm not going to give two craps of candy if I get Candy Crush gems. But they could do a Game Pass Ultimate Rewards thing for people where it's like, hey, you get so many Candy Crush gems a month. And like it might be like a huge like financial like deal for some people because like you know, like say you get like $10 of them every month, right? And that's worth the price of the subscription, but that's a guaranteed $10 that Microsoft's getting from that consumer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be honest, I never thought about it like that. That's interesting. Yeah.
They can, and that's why I'm shocked that they haven't tried to offer premium currency for Halo Infinite yet with Game Pass Ultimate, because you know, you're not necessarily getting, you know, that money from that premium currency, right? But you are in a way, because you're getting people to be subscribed to Game Pass, even though you don't need to be for Halo Infinite's multiplayer. And they do it with has anyone heard of Phantasy Star Online?
Yeah.
Yep.
They do it with Phantasy Star Online every month. You get the premium gems every month with Game Pass Ultimate. So, you know, there's so many little things that when they could give cosmetics for Overwatch. They can, you know, there's so many little things that they can do for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, even for existing games. And it creates this like gigantic feedback loop where like, yeah, they're offering you stuff that they might have been charging $5-10 for a pop on this service as perks to be on the service, but it kind of makes you glued to the service forever, and they guarantee that money from that service from you every month forever if they keep offering you a baseline level of stuff. And then maybe you're inclined to go buy more in those games that you're playing. Like maybe you want some more premium currency because they didn't give you quite enough for that item that you wanted, you know? And it's a very powerful tool that they have with Game Pass, especially with the casual games that they are getting from this Activision Blizzard deal. You know, the Overwatch, the Call of Duty, the Candy Crush, anything else that King's makes, because I can't think of any of the other mobile games that King makes besides Candy Crush. I know there are some, but that's the famous one.
It's called money.
You know,
They make money.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, I think Sony is putting their voice out there so that, you know, they don't that this deal is as favorable for them as it can be, because it's not going to be favorable for them, right? Like, in no way does this acquisition help them, besides maybe it lets them acquire some more companies than they would be able to at the position they are within you know, within like because some acquisitions could be deemed anti-competitive for them because of how big they are share wise in the gaming sphere right now, right? Because the only one that's ahead of them is Tencent, and Tencent's only ahead of them because they're an investment company and they get a ton of returns from all of their investments that are spread throughout the entire industry. They don't, most of their gaming money either comes from mobile or return on investment.
Well, even Tencent right now, I mean, didn't they just I can't remember if it's they're talking about it or they've already done it. I think it's just a rumor at this point, but aren't they talking about
investing further in Ubisoft?
Yeah, that's correct.
More shares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they'd be getting more return, because like that's why no one really like that's not something like the FTC like truly like looks at, you know, because like they don't own those companies. They only own a portion of them. They're not even like really like on a lot of them they're not board members. The contract when they purchase the shares in those companies is usually like they have no creative say, but they get like first right to publish in China, and they get they'll help with distribution, and in return they're putting their liquid assets into something that in theory they can get a return from or sell to another bidder later, and it makes them far more it makes their company be able to take out more in loans and things like that so that they can invest more and more and more. But Sony, the vast majority of their share in gaming is from actual revenue they bring in from their actual their actual dominance in the gaming sphere, as opposed to being an investment group, right? I mean, they are an investment group. We've seen them invest in Epic and things like that. But we see with Sony that with this Activision deal, this could actually make it so that it's not quite as hard for them to buy a larger group that more fits their budget and things like that, like the rumored Square Enix, you know, that has forever been rumored that they're interested in. I don't think it's going to be very viable right now because of the financial climate that we're in with the massive inflation and things like that. It would be safer to invest in upgrading your own holdings themselves as they exist rather than purchasing new ones. But this kind of deal makes it easier for them to say, hey, you know, we're no longer in as dominant a position as we are. Buying this would no longer be as large of a threat to being a monopoly as it would have been 6 months ago because of that Activision deal. So there are a few benefits they can get out of this deal, but by and large, it's, you know, they're trying to mitigate their losses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I believe you're correct on that. Yeah, I mean, I can understand from Sony's end, you know, being concerned, but man, oh man, like, I don't know what else they can do at this point. Eric Shockley, pal, I mean, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on this. I don't know, what do you think about like this documentation coming out about Sony being worried about Xbox owning Call of Duty? Do you think that people are generally going to be switching consoles because, oh, now, you know, Xbox owns Call of Duty? You know, there's speculation on, oh, you know, it'll come to Game Pass and other perks and so on. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think what's probably what Sony's like more afraid of. Like if you look at because I think they'll obviously keep Warzone multiplat, and from at least what Phil said before, you know, he made it sound like, hey, we talked with them, hey, we're not going to just pull Call of Duty from, like, we're going to continue to bring, like, you know, from what we understand, that looks like maybe the mainline Call of Duty games over. But I think what Sony is probably fighting over and is probably going to like raise hell about here coming soon, if they haven't like started already, at least behind the scenes, is Microsoft making Game Pass the exclusive subscription, or at least the subscription that exclusively gets Call of Duty and no other subscription service, because the subscription services are just going to keep getting more and more popular, and as their game, and Sony's getting into that even more so with how they've consolidated PS Plus and PS Now, and as those get bigger and bigger as far as the subscriber bases, and that's where people like to spend their money on, like on their media, like music, TV shows, movies, and now going into gaming. If there's one subscription service, and that's how people are just like maybe not so much spending. It's kind of like with music. Sometimes people might buy vinyl or like 4K DVDs. Like I buy 4K movies on DVD, but some people just are on Blu-rays. But some people just, hey, I'm just gonna stream stuff, and if movies are on all these different streaming services I have, I'll watch them there. If they don't happen to be there, there's other stuff to watch. So a lot of people are like that. So as we get more and more with these subscription models, if there's only one subscription, gaming subscription out there that has exclusively, no other subscription has Call of Duty, but one does, and that being Game Pass, that's going to still be the huge disruptor to anybody else's subscription service, as we see in gaming, where it's like the number one and number two selling games every year are like the Call of Duty game of that year and the Call of Duty game of the year previous. So those are going to be huge, and I think Sony's definitely going to be trying to like, hey, this isn't fair. You can't also. They'll try to do what they're doing now of like, hey, this isn't fair with, if you had exclusively this game, it's too much power. I'm sure they're going to make that. And they're trying to make sure that doesn't, go awry, because that would really screw them over. But that's definitely going to be their next argument for sure. Like saying, hey, this is too much power. You can't have somebody have, that on their subscription while you're offering it for, because remember, Call of Duty's been $70 lately on their platform. And hey, you're just, practically giving it away on the other platform. Like that's just on top of it being the only subscription that gets to touch it. So I think you're going to see that here pretty soon. But yeah, I think that's what probably Microsoft's angle is. If they're going to keep it on other platforms, they're going to really drive that home. So, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm sure they're getting pretty worried about, hey, this deal's about to go through. Hey, they might keep the games on our platform, but oh shit, this Game Pass thing that's going to just it's going to make it seem like Call of Duty's not on our platform, because it's going to sway a lot of people. Like, hey, if I don't have to pay for this annual game I buy every year, and it's the only thing I play, might as well switch to Game Pass and get all the other games that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because like Sony, they're recently trying to close the gap. Now they're starting to see that subscription services are now they're gonna be a force in the gaming industry, whether people want to embrace that or not. And as people are starting to notice the gap is closing, that gap's just going to go right back to being how it was a couple of years ago, right back to being wide. Because with all the back catalog, all the past Call of Duties, all future Call of Duties, eventually being day one, it's going to be a pretty hard argument to recommend the competition over Game Pass, especially with the day one feature if Sony chooses to still not go that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, completely. The Game Pass aspect is such a big force right now in the industry. I mean, even Sony's now trying to adopt their own, and yeah, I mean, it seems to be a very successful model. I mean, again, Xbox has the numbers; they're growing. The one thing I would say though, guys, is what does Sony have anything to compete with Xbox? I mean, once this deal closes. Okay, let's say it's a multi-plat, but still, do they have anything in like the first person shooter space that can really measure up to anything Call of Duty wise.
So, kind of. They have. It's not going to be as big, right? Like, there's nothing that's going to be as big, but they could put all of Bungie's content, because I mean, Bungie's content does exceptionally well. Destiny is a top 15 game on every platform every month, right? And they could put all of the expansions and stuff, and they could give everyone a ticket for the season pass on their service, and that would do some numbers. Like, it's not going to do the same thing, but it's probably enough to get people to do both, because I think we're going to be entering a long era in gaming where it's going to be almost impossible to ignore either. Well, I say either. It's pretty much all three, actually. Like, any of the major like console platforms, because of how much they've each consolidated and how many studios each of them have and how much content is going to be coming out exclusively and how much they're going to be feeding their services. I mean, my motto on Twitter for the last couple of days has been that the ultimate way to exist currently right now in the gaming sphere is to have at least PS Plus Extra and Game Pass Ultimate, if not PS Plus Premium. Now, that depends on how much you like how good your connection is to Sony's server nodes for streaming the PS3 games, or how much you want PS1 and 2 games, because we have this massive back catalog on like every platform of just excellent games from generation to generation, right? And it's really hard, especially even for like new people coming into gaming and being like, look at how much there is to play and look at how much you can get on your hands for cheap. I think it's more going to be which platform do you prioritize getting into first, rather than one platform absolutely, destroying the other. Now, that being said, Call of Duty is a very powerful tool. Maybe Sony goes out and they're pretty buddy with Take-Two and 2K with like marketing and things like that. Maybe they can do something with like one of the 2K sports games, or maybe they can come up to some agreement with EA for one of their sports games. And then it's not necessarily an FPS, but it is another one of those hyper casual games that a lot of people, millions of people buy every year. And, maybe they have that plus Destiny, and that's enough to be an equivalent and to keep up this concept that I'm putting forward of it's going to be impossible to ignore like any platform. And Nintendo always does Nintendo things and makes games that no one wants to ignore. Look at the Switch. The Switch is probably going to beat the PS2 in lifetime units sold. And they have the most ridiculous attach rates for games like Mario Kart, I don't remember what number it is, and
8.
for and for Animal Crossing and things like that. Like, I it feels like we're entering a new era where all of our discourse is going to change, because like there's been this tribalist, like this console's going to do better than that console, and like that's still going to be there to an extent, but we're coming up to like this era because of mass backwards compatibility and just massive libraries and these massive services that it's going to be like, where should your priorities be rather than which one do I get? Do you know what I mean? Like, Xbox has so many studios that it's going to be impossible to ignore Xbox unless you're on, like as a console, unless you like PC gaming, then they give you that option. Go to PC, play there, and be happy. Same thing with PlayStation. If you're cool with the wait, you can go to PC and be happy. But like, you're still not going to be ignoring their content. It's not the same as it's been for the last decade because the times are changing. The technology is different. The delivery methods are different. The amount of studios they all have is different. We're entering in a very unique and very cool time in gaming to be talking about gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. And they're all gonna have their own strategies to this, again, moving forward. I do love the backwards compatibility aspect that was brought along last generation, and the libraries keep getting larger and larger. I can't wait until, again, this Activision Blizzard deal closes and we get some of those back catalog games. Like, I would love to see games like Singularity, Time Shift, and so on. Are we
live?
Yeah, we're live.
Because I'm not seeing anything on the YouTube stream.
We're live. There's
what? 2 streams.
There's actually 2 streams.
Oh, there's 2?
Yeah,
okay.
Check. It's all right. Everything's good. I just gotta set something. When we're done, I have to change some things over. But we're good. We are live.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we're good. But guys, anything else to add to this? I mean, it is kind of interesting seeing these documentations pop up. I don't know. It seems like again, things are going to be over relatively soon. Anything else to add to this?
The only thing I want to put in the end is we hear everybody talking about, Microsoft potentially creating a volatile situation by putting Call of Duty day and date in, and if especially if Sony starts really wanting to cry wolf. All I have to really say is we all know the story about crying wolf, and if Sony cries too loudly, they could potentially cause it to where they're going to have less third party. If by some chance they muck up this deal with Activision, they could cause themselves to where they can't make some of the third party deals that they have been in the past, because it's like, well, if they're not allowed to have exclusive this or exclusive that, what about the perceived exclusive tactics that you have been using over the past few years? Like, you can't sit there and boo-hoo and all of a sudden, well, I want to get away with it too. That's where they need to really pick this battle very carefully, because they could also cause problems for themselves when it comes to making that next third-party deal to create exclusive mindshare.
And I think that has to go back to the wording that they used in the Brazilian government listing. They specifically said that, like, no one can make a game like this, blah blah blah. Like, they're trying to set up the Call of Duty. Like, you'll notice that the only thing that they really went after in that listing was Call of Duty. They didn't mention anything else. They didn't mention World of Warcraft. They didn't mention Candy Crush. They didn't mention Overwatch. They didn't mention, it was just Call of Duty. And so they're being very particular with this argument and trying to make Call of Duty into like the exact description of what they're doing, so that they can continue to do that kind of stuff. And that's a very astute observation, Centurion.
Just say it because
that, like, they have to be careful. That they have to be careful what they're doing, and you can kind of see them trying to be very careful about what they're saying. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because all it takes is like, well, all right, Activision isn't allowed to merge with Microsoft, and oh, by the way, you got to put Spider-Man and these other IPs over on different platforms, because you may own the Spider-Man character, but you just own his likeness. It's technically a Marvel franchise. It has nothing to do with you creating it. You basically you acquired it, and so at this point, the exclusiveness of Spider-Man ends here. There is a lot of things writing on how they are wording stuff and what the avenue they're wanting to go, because literally they got to remember, like, Disney has acquired the Star Wars universe, and they have systematically started stripping everything away from other platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime to make sure that the Star Wars universe exists on Disney Plus. We're starting to see that with Amazon in acquiring MGM Studios, who actually also owns New Line Entertainment, which is why we're seeing Lord of the Rings pop up. We've also seen Stargate and anything to do with the Stargate franchise slowly starting to systematically disappear, and it's going to be exclusive to Amazon Prime. And that's the other thing, is like, we're walking a fine line between games and entertainment. Games and entertainment are very close to each other. And literally, there is big companies right now that are using big name brand franchises to create exclusive awareness for their subscription service. And this also falls under the same concept for Call of Duty. So this is one of the, like I said, Microsoft has all these arguments chambered up, ready to take a shot at the FTC and point out, like, well, just because Call of Duty is going to create mindshare for Game Pass, what about Lord of the Rings? What about Star Wars? What about these other franchises that are technically acquired franchises and were not original in-house IPs?
Yeah, and I just want to say my final thoughts. Like, I think Xbox is in a place that they can finish this, but also keep going. I see people on Twitter, like even Tim Dog, saying how Xbox is not done with acquisitions. And in my personal opinion, as long they are, it's because of of PlayStation's own success and Nintendo's success. They are not the market leader in consoles. They are not the market leader in PC. That's Steam. They're not the market leader in mobile. So long as they are not number one, not or even number two in any of these categories, in my opinion, they can keep buying and buying and buying until that gap is closed. So their lack of success up until now is actually their strongest argument to keep going, and if anything, make things exclusive in the future. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think that they'll slow down with anything big. If
Yeah.
Like you're not going to see another publisher, but like you could see a company like Certain Affinity. Heck, I was of the opinion that you could see a minor company that doesn't have a lot of like front-facing anything, because like Certain Affinity, their gamers don't even know what Certain Affinity is. You know what I mean? Like we do, because we talk about these kind of things and we're very enfranchised and very in this space. But like they could get away with like a Certain Affinity probably during this deal. Like there's stuff like that they can get away with right now. They probably can't get away with anyone that has a subscription service. Like I think that EA and Ubisoft are completely off the tables forever, because that would be taking a competitor off the market, and that would be frowned upon, even though they're not major competitors.
Well, even so,
though, like,
oh no, I'm just saying.
Even though we would think that was ridiculous, right? Like any of us think that would be ridiculous, but like, yeah.
Oh yeah, just to latch on though, like I mean they make deals with these companies anyways. I mean they made deals with EA. It's already connected to Game Pass in some manner. And then also, I mean, even Ubisoft in some forms too. So I mean, even if they don't own them, they can still make deals.
Correct. And they can use that as showing us that they've grown the market, because you look at EA's investor call right after, it was the one immediately following EA Play coming to Game Pass Ultimate. And they were celebrating how it doubled their subscribers for EA Play, and it brought in a ton of first-time gamers to a ton of franchises, and they ended up making a lot of money, and a lot of their games are being talked about on social media and selling even to non-subscribers, and that it was really good for their business. So like the deals are like totally separate, because those deals can be seen as growing like being synergistic and growing with your competition and helping your competition to grow at the same time, especially since Microsoft has this policy. They've talked about it in a lot of their interviews where they talk about the statistics of Game Pass. They always make it clear that no Game Pass deal is predicated on exclusivity to Game Pass when they make it with a third-party partner. Now, they'll pay more for a third-party deal, but it is not a requirement to go on Game Pass that it has to be exclusive to Xbox or exclusive to even Game Pass. Like it can be on other services at other times. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is on Game Pass and PS Plus Extra at the same time right now, right? Like they make that very clear, and that's a very clear indicator that they can show that that they want to grow this space, because growing the space for even their competition helps everyone.
Well, I'm still optimistic that they can get a small publisher in the future. Like, say, I'm Team Sega, because they can make the case they need to improve their market share in competition in Japan, which they do. And Sega doesn't own any mega popular games as a service titles. They have a lot of games, but none of them sell particularly well compared to, say, Call of Duty. So I think maybe a smaller publisher could be on the cards in the future. I wouldn't rule it out. But definitely in the future, small independent studios for sure, though.
Yeah.
At this point, I take Platinum. To be honest with you.
Yeah. I think that they almost build their own Japanese base and prove to Japan that they. And when I say build their own, I don't really mean open their own. I mean that they kind of like build their own collection of studios, whether it be expanding Tango or Platinum or a couple of the other smaller Japanese devs. They've been working with, like, who's the company that makes the, like, it's the Yudentide Chronicles? Was that JRPG that came out this year and it was okay, and there's like a bigger, fuller sequel to it coming out next year?
Not too sure, to be honest with you, but you're right though. They are like they're pretty tight with some of the smaller ones, like White Owl.
Right, and I think that is how they get into Japan, if we're going to talk about that. I think that they show that, like, hey, we're gonna form partnerships with some of the big ones because they obviously have a huge partnership with Sega. Freaking everything comes to Game Pass either at launch or a few months later, that they've launched. Like 2 Point Campus just launched, right? Like that just came out, or it's coming out like in the next week.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think it's getting ready to come out. I don't think it's come out yet.
Okay, like that's a prime example of Sega loves Game Pass, baby. And yeah, but yeah, you're not wrong. I think that if they are going to even get a small publishing group that like has a name to them, it's going to be post 2024. And by post 2024, I mean post January 1st, 2024.
Which is fine. Yeah.
Like that, they have to wait a little while so eyes aren't on them. In fact, I would even argue that it would be post presidential elections in the United States so that it can potentially be a different FTC with the different backing behind it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, that's an interesting take too.
Like that they may wait to purchase more things to see if the climate in the United States change, because typically conservatives don't care as much about mergers and acquisitions. There are some big ones that they will block. Like there is an upper limit to what can even get through there. But I mean, the Fox, the 20th Century Fox Disney deal probably would not have gone through under this political climate. Now, it's not big enough that this political climate's going to try to reverse it, like say the Instagram, Facebook acquisition, like we talked about earlier. But it probably wouldn't have even been proposed by Disney and 20th Century Fox in the year 2022.
I think Facebook's woes are self-inflicted because they have been, let's just put it bluntly, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook have been a little bit of an a-hole to the government. And I think this is just more like retaliation for the powers that be they're just fed up with Mark Zuckerberg.
And that's one benefit that everyone in the gaming space kind of has with the government, because they don't ever typically get in the government's ways. When like the government gets mad about them for something, the gaming industry corrects itself and does something and changes it. They don't try to fight it. Like that's the whole thing with like how the ESA created the ESRB in the United States, right? They created a self-governing body to rate games so that the U.S. government wasn't involved at all, and everyone was happy. And that's why, like, I think Microsoft has a 100% chance of this acquisition going through. I shouldn't say 100%. Nothing's ever certain. 95% chance of this going through.
I'm pretty confident, though, that it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
It's going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's going through. It's just what kind of conditions are going to be set upon them is really the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, well, either way, guys, things are going to be interesting going forward, but it's just very revealing with these documentations coming up, what Sony's been saying. And it's not even just Sony. There's other publishers involved in this too, making their own commentary to these boards. But yeah, time's going to tell, honestly, and hopefully we don't have to wait too long for this to go through, because I'm pretty sure they're talking to other developers about acquisitions too. Would not be surprised at this point. Let's see, we have 47 awesome people tuning in. Guys, thank you all for tuning in. It's great to see you all here. The chat is very active. Great to see you all. Guys, if you haven't done so already, hit the thumb, hit the like button, share this out. And hey, if you're new to the channel, please sub. We'd love to have you stick around. All right, let's move on over and make some room for our next topic. And hey, guess what, guys? Surprise, surprise. It looks like the Xbox Series S got a bit of a performance boost under the hood. A new Xbox software developer kit has been released to developers recently, and it seems to free up more room for for the Xbox Series S. Shockley, buddy, what do you think of this latest update for the console? I mean, is this going to make a difference on developing for it? I don't know if you're. Oh, there you
Oh,
are.
sorry. No, you're good. No, I mean, from what I've seen, from what they stated in that quote, seems like it's gonna, free up. I think kind of like how with Xbox One, I think they were allocating. I think maybe on the safe side, to make sure Connect and some of their operating system would run smoothly without issue. Um, but yeah, I mean, with this, they were probably playing it safe in that same regard. Um, but it's nice to see that they're giving more memory because Series X has been pretty much pulling its weight for the most part. There has been some games where it's like, hey, this shouldn't be doing worse than the PS5 version, but for the most part, um, you're seeing where its strengths are, or it's at least holding its own. Whereas with the Series S, it feels like it's kind of fallen short of the like promise of like 1440p, or at least 1080, like it's steady 1080 without fail. At 60 FPS, I think we've seen some issues or some differences more than just like resolution. That we thought it was going to be like, oh, okay, this one's going to be like 4K, and then or pushing for 4K, one's pushing for 1440p, and then the only difference is resolution. But we've seen that's obviously not the case, and there were going to be probably some differences given that the memory's a little different. But it's nice to see that they're allocating more memory to the devs. So hopefully, especially for how much it is, and and we're rumored to hear about the PS5 possibly going up in price at retail. That would, if they can keep that at $299 and they're getting more performance and getting closer, and making that gap a little smaller between that and the PS5, to make consumers like really think like, okay, because I mean you can't find a digital PS5, so that $400 box is kind of a moot point. Thing is pretty much a unicorn. And then the Series 5, that's, or not the Series, the PS5 like disc version. That's the one that I see the most or at all. And if that, that's a $200 gap and possibly more, because I mean, why would Sony, not charge a little bit more for it? They're still selling out instantly all the time, so it's still a popular system. And they just have the digital out in the market just so they can say, hey, we have a cheaper version, but good luck ever getting it. So if they can keep that price gap and then make the performance gap smaller, they're definitely heading in the right direction to really hold their own, because a lot of people are gravitating towards the Series S. I'm kind of actually surprised about it myself, with how many people I've seen like just, oh, screw it, I'll just get a Series S and not hold out. They're trying to find a Series X
Right.
on the market, because I've seen a couple of Series X like in the like disc replay lately, resold, but people are just like, nah, screw it, the Series S is smaller, takes up less space, and a lot of people don't really care about is it 2160p or is it 1080p. Like people past that 1080 mark, like a lot of people seem to not really care.
Something like that, yeah.
So
Because the what is it? The Series S, it can do what, 1440p, if I'm not
yeah, it's
mistaken.
supposed to,
Yeah.
it's like ceiling 1440p at 120, but we've seen that's doesn't 1440p, just regardless of the frame rate, doesn't tend or seem to happen from what we've seen recently. But just it hitting also 1080p, I think lately has been some spotty, or at least keeping that steady 1080p 60 frames per second, and not have like, hey, there's a bunch of features missing, like whether it be like ray, because that's the other difference, is both systems are supposed to have, like, I'm pretty sure ray tracing, parts. Like obviously it's nothing compared to the PC, but just, or at least some minimal ray tracing. But I don't think for the most part we've really seen much of that being the case for Series S. So because everybody was like, oh, it's just the difference between resolution, but it doesn't. There's definitely some other differences, at least in reality, from third-party third-party devs. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's
hopefully this kind of helps.
yeah, and I agree with you. And again, this is giving the console memory, from what I'm to understand, a few hundred additional megabytes, which
Mhm.
may be significant to some games, especially ones that, they can get a patch for it soon. Because I know some developers were complaining about, the memory for the console. So, some games had issues reaching 1080p or maybe certain frame rates. So, hey, maybe if you had a game at, it was running at 40 or 60, now it can go to 50 or 60 or so on, or, just those improved frame rates. But I mean, it is nice that they did this to make it a more dependable on that end, I think, anyways. Because this console, I mean, it's already a popular console, as you were saying, Eric, and Xbox's strategy this gen has been very strong with this lower price, more budgeted console, and I'm pretty sure they want to keep it that way because it's selling like hotcakes right now, and it's more available to the consumer base. So I'm pretty sure they want to alleviate whatever issues they can. As with the dev kits, if they can do that, hey, why not? Why not? That's fantastic that they're able to help improve the console in that way, even if it's just, again, a few hundred megabytes, a few additional ones. That's great news. Centurion Pal, I mean, I would love to know your thoughts on this. The Xbox Series S, it's a pretty fantastic little console from what a lot of people are saying. What do you think about these improvements coming from the dev kit?
I like the way you put it. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. We're talking about a very well priced next generation console at $300. The developers has voiced some concerns about the constraints when it comes to the available memory to make certain games more optimized and able to have just the concept of a lot of games are stuck at like 1080p or 1440. To be able to try to get that beyond it and loosen that up a little bit would definitely be in the Series S's best interest. And definitely that I think that's really good that Microsoft is listening to the developers. They've, rather than, taking it as an as-is deal, this is what you get. Microsoft has gone in and done what they had to do to free up some space for the memory. And it's like Microsoft is really trying to really leverage the Series S as the go-to console for, I hate using the term casual because, just because somebody is, like,
franchised.
yeah, more, yeah, franchise. What'd you say?
Unenfranchised.
That's a better term, unenfranchised, or more like your entry level. Somebody's on a budget, entry level gamer, somebody that games, but they're not like investing a large amount of time to it. It's like, if you really think about it, it kind of goes hand in hand with the whole like Call of Duty situation, that eventually the Series S could be that console that is for $300. You could have a really good time, have a next gen console that can do amazing things, and like literally it would be everything the unenfranchised or the entry level gamer needs to get comfortable in the ecosystem that basically fits their budget. And this is where I really applaud Microsoft for coming up with the Series S. The Series S was a game changer. It really closed the gap on hardware sales when it comes to competing with other brands. The Series S is a home run for Microsoft, and this just proves yet again that they have a lot of time, effort, and energy put into the Series S, and it just because they've put it out into production, it didn't stop there. They went back to the drawing board and fixed a few things based on developer input. And dude, I mean, no telling what else they might be able to do with this little box, considering there's some pretty good geniuses of hardware over at the Microsoft camp, and the things they cook up are pretty much game changing. when it comes to being able to compete in the gaming market.
Agreed, and well said statements there, Centurion. Yeah, I mean, this console's turned out to be the little console that could. Like, it's, I know the Series X takes a lot of the credit for for Xbox right now, and deservingly so, but at the same time, the Series S really does hold up its end this generation, and it's doing amazing numbers.
I remember before Sony came out with their 2 SKU system, one with a disk drive, one without a disk drive, and we heard all the complaints and reaching for the stars of people are going to get confused. Like the average consumer doesn't know what they're doing when they get to the store. Dude, everybody knows the difference between the Series S and the Series X, and the 2 SKU system has worked out quite well. And I mean, it's kind of funny on this whole situation that the Series S is the little console that could, because literally the whole world wanted to write off the Series S before it even came out.
Yet it's doing well in regions that, Xbox wasn't doing so well last gen. Now, it's definitely holding its own, right? Especially in Asian markets as of right now, anyways. Especially with PlayStation struggling to get units out there. So, again, it's just, surprising me what this console's being able to do. But maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it shouldn't be.
And it's also, I'm sure, like, some devs were early on were like, I don't know about the memory, but guess what? Gamers are saying, hey, right now, especially how the economy is right now, and how hard these consoles are to get, that $500 might be out of their price range with all the other things that are going up with inflation. On top of it just being super difficult to struggle to even try to obtain anything else. And Series S is actually getting these things out to the market. So, I mean, it's some the devs got to deal with. Like, they're always going to have constraints. We can't just be PC only, no consoles, and then you have no issues. You don't have to, work some magic. That's always been the console story anyway. You've always had to, how'd they get, Resident Evil 2? Obviously, in that case, Resident Evil 2 on the N64, they had to make some big sacrifices. But, like, if gamers are fine with 1080p or some, things that have to be cut, and these things are still flying off the shelves.
And worst comes to worst, a company can't get their game to run. They can have it hosted on xCloud and have a cloud version like games on the Switch are. And that can be how the SKU works on the Series S if they literally can't get it to run on it. It's not the end of the world. It can be delivered differently in the Xbox ecosystem. And then because of how smart delivery works, so, your Series S realizes, oh, I can't actually run this game, so let's just hold back and we'll stream it to you. Literally how the Xbox One is going to work now. It's how it works with Flight Simulator. The Xbox One cannot physically run Flight Simulator, but you can buy that game right now and then play it through the cloud on. Well, you can't buy it and play it through the cloud yet. That's going to be a feature coming this fall. But you know what I mean? Like, there are other solutions to this problem if a developer literally can't get it to work. And by the time that it is actually a problem, it's not going to be they're not going to be able to use all the resources of the console. They're not going to be stretched thin for that until the last few years of the console's existence, right? Like the last 2 years. And at that point, maybe there'll be a little bit of an outrage. I don't really care. It was a $300 device, not made for like raw enthusiasts, besides if they literally couldn't afford the cream of the crop,
Yep.
And I don't think this is the first time we're going to hear that they successfully gave us more memory. I think we'll hear it again when we see the OS shift to Windows 11. Because for anyone who doesn't know, the OS on the Xbox One and Series S is based, and Series line, I should say, is based on Windows 10. And on the Xbox One, it was upgraded from Windows 8 to Windows 10 about 2 years into its life cycle, I think. And that brought some optimizations along with it. And Windows 11 is a much more lightweight OS. It usually just runs with using less system resources in general. So I wouldn't be shocked to hear that more resources are freed up when inevitably the Xbox moves to Windows 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, well said there, Crusader, well said. MLD, buddy, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, personally, I wasn't expecting to see even a few megabytes here of additional memory for the system, but from the sounds of things, it's going to help alleviate, I wouldn't say stress, but it's going to help the console in some ways, giving more, more graphically, more frame rate. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I'm glad it's actually happening here because Xbox, I think they took the hit in the short term because, with the dev kits, the reports back in the day in 2020 said that they waited a bit longer to finalize their dev kits, while Sony, they took they finished earlier. As a result, a lot of early comparisons favored PS5 over Xbox. That's the only comparison I'm going to make here with the competition here. The point is, Xbox, they decide to look long term on this thing. So a lot of optimizations wouldn't really happen until the generation has been progressing along, and this is one such example. They've been steadily, the tools, as they say, the tools have been consistently getting better and easier for developers to use, and this is just the latest example. So yeah, I definitely think it will not be the last. Excuse me. And it's also essential because, as we all said before, the Series S is selling a lot better than I think any of us could have predicted. Like in the future, like I'm picturing right now, like say a $299 Series S, or even price cut in the future, like $199, bundled with the latest Call of Duty that's brand new for the holidays. That's going to be crazy. So if that's going to happen, and if this console is going to sell perhaps the bulk of the Series console sales, you best make sure the developers have the best tools at their disposal to make the games run as smooth and the best resolution as possible. So yeah, good on Xbox. There's still the software engineers. They're still plugging away. They're still looking for better efficiencies. And yeah, I'm sure it won't be the last. So I'm happy to hear this.
Am I still here?
Yeah. No,
Just
You guys catch that?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, good.
No, actually,
making sure that-
I was talking. My mic was, I had muted my mic.
Ah.
I thought I was talking, but no. Either way, guys, I mean, it's great to see this boost coming to the Series S. It's going past already what my expectations were for it, and again, it's hitting things that even just the PS5 can't do at this point. With the amount of 120 FPS games at the moment too. I think that was said in chat. So it's really an impressive thing for a $300 console, to say the least. So good on Xbox for this. Just for the console itself, and overall, honestly, just that they're trying to improve it, even if it's just a little bit, it is very much appreciated. Any other thoughts on this, guys, or can we move along here? All right, I'll take that as we can move along. But yeah, guys, on to our next topic, which will be our last bit of news for the night. And it seems like those rumors of a new Game Pass tier, or again, just like a new section, were correct. Xbox Wire revealed some information about it, stating that Xbox insiders in select countries can test it out right now. It allows for multiple people to share Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Centurion Pal, you know what? I will bug you first on this one. What do you think of this? We've been hearing rumblings of it for, a while now. I know we've kind of talked about it before on the show. And yeah, now it just seems to be coming to fruition. What are your thoughts here?
I'm excited. I'm not one of those people that like have a large household, so I'm gonna be entirely honest. This is not going to affect me in any way, but um, in
Not
chatting with,
limited to households.
huh?
It's not limited to households.
I don't
Nowhere in the article does it say
game
household.
share. I don't game share or anything like that. Call me an introvert. I game share with my wife, and that's where. But the situation I have set up between me and my wife, between my Xbox and her Xbox, it works just seamlessly. So, literally, it doesn't affect me. I'm not gonna like be signing up to share a Game Pass with any friends or anything like that. But I do have one comes to mind, my brother. He has himself, his kid, his wife. That would definitely benefit him. From chatting with old castmate of mine, Fuzzy Belvedere, I know he has kids and himself, and he has been clamoring for a family plan, and it looks like this is finally going to come to fruition. It looks like they're testing it right now in Ireland, and I believe it was Colombia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
weird.
They, off the wall demographics, whatever reasoning they picked that for. But yeah, I mean, for the at least for Ireland, we saw 21.99 in euro, which I kind of did some math on. It came to like $23 and change in US dollars. In my mind, it's probably going to be somewhere around $25.
That's what Jez Gordon said. He's
Yeah.
heard it. He was the one who broke it originally, and he said it's targeting 25 in the US.
So that's a good sign. I mean, like literally, it's not a huge price a jump. You can have up to 4 people on the plan for $25 a month. That's going to be a huge deal, especially if you have a family or friends that you trust.
It's 4 plus the subscription holder, so it's 5 people total.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Because all I saw was the word "4." The screen share, like the screenshot they had of somebody having it, it showed like 4. But I think you're right now that looking at it, it was like 0
out of 4 attached. So
right.
You're attached to it yourself, and then you can attach 4 sub accounts. It's exactly how Microsoft 365 works, by the way.
See,
that's
and
right.
And that's the only thing. Microsoft has had a good chance to do subscription services on different platforms, especially with 365. Technically, that's something that's used in an office setting, and to try to buy 365 for every individual computer is like a huge chunk of change. To be able to share that amongst 5 computers in one office is definitely something that helps out saving money. This is going to be another way for gamers to save money on the Xbox ecosystem. And that's where I really think this is why, I made the comment I did in the YouTube chat before I turned YouTube off. To sit there and wish Sony to disappear is absolute ignorance, because you need competition in the market. Right now, we see PS Plus is actually creating discounts for those who buy multiple months over a period of time, especially when you buy it in yearly chunks, you get that discount. I really wish Microsoft would follow suit with that, so that way I can buy my Game Pass Ultimate subscription at a discount instead of paying $15 a month every single month with no discount, unless you wait for those certain times of the years when like they sell like those 3-month cards for like $25. But this is where Microsoft sees Sony doing this. They see the discounts that Sony is creating, and that's where Microsoft has heard the fans in asking for a service like this and being able to share the Game Pass subscription amongst their families. And this is just going to help keep driving competition into the marketplace. And I can only look forward to Microsoft also potentially creating a discount system like I just spoke of. This is just as a result of competition. They see that subscription services are becoming a very big thing right now. They know multiple people are sometimes sharing these things, or they're having more than one subscription in their household. And this is yet another way to make the Xbox ecosystem the more affordable ecosystem. It started with the Series S and the $300 price tag. Actually, it started with Game Pass. Game Pass originally was $10 a month, and you could have access to all these games. And then we came up with Game Pass Ultimate for $15 a month, and it included Xbox Live and Game Pass Ultimate perks. $15 a month. And then we got the evolution with the Series S being the $300 console. Microsoft is finding more and more ways to respectfully show the gamer that they the gaming consumer that they understand that they're working hard for their money, and the more money that they can keep in the consumer's pocket is more money that the consumer can also in the end invest back into the ecosystem.
All right. No, that's some interesting thoughts there, pal. Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting going forward because, as Crusader was stating, Jez Corden from Windows Central, he had a pretty good article that was breaking it at first, and then everybody else kind of chimed in. This plan, again, if it continues to go forward and, if it ends up being this way, it's split between 5 people. Essentially, you're getting Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for, I think he did the math, and it's like $5 per month instead of 15, if I'm not mistaken.
It's so it depends on how many users you have attached. If you're a moron and you're paying for this and it's only you on it, it's $25 a month. For the one person. If you have 2 people on, it goes down to 12 and a half. If you have 3 people, you just keep dividing that 25 by however many people you have on. So if it's $25 a month and you got 5 people on it, it's including yourself, it's $5 a person. It's cheaper than Game Pass has ever been.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Then you're marketing it to your friends, and you're getting your friends to get Game Pass, and you're basically getting more and more people stuck into the ecosystem in the way Microsoft wants you, right? And this, hilariously, is actually Microsoft's response to what Nintendo does. Nintendo has done this since day one of NSO. NSO is not the best service in the world, but it's not that expensive. It's only like $20 a year for one person, but it's like $45 a year for 8 people to be on like one together, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And the idea is, hey, let's reach as many people as we can, but we'll make it cheaper for them if they all come in together, right? And what's very interesting about this is this actually, we're all calling it the family plan. It isn't marketed only to families. Nowhere in it does it say the word household. Nowhere in it does it say families exclusively. It says families and friends, right? They aren't, the only constraint that they've put on it with like a terms of services, you have to be in the same country, which is for like a tax purposes and legal purposes and distribution purposes, because the same games might not always be on the service in the same countries. We see that with like streaming services all the time. It just depends on who's distributing it where and where the deal is. It's very complicated thing that I'm happy I don't have to deal with on like their side. And so I know that as soon as I'm eligible for this and can switch over to it, I will be almost certainly bunching up with a bunch of my friends, because all they have to do is give me like $15 every 3 months or so. I'm not gonna make them pay me every month for this. It's it's not that much, but and we're all going to have Game Pass together, and we're all going to have these games together that we can play together. And like when like Dark Tide drops, we're all just going to have Dark Tide, and no matter if we're on PC or Xbox, or I don't think I have any of my friends want to play it on mobile, but let's say there's someone who wants to play it on mobile, because everyone's getting Game Pass Ultimate, baby. You can play it. You don't have to have a console. You can play it on the PC. You can play it on your phone. And that's the brilliant part. They're doing this with the most expensive tier because they want as many people from as many walks of life in gaming, so to speak, to be on this service. And it's going to be a home run. I was talking with Mooch. Mooch couldn't believe the deal. He's like, I'm going to find someone. I'm going to find 5 people. We're going to team up for $5 a month. This is impossible to beat. And yeah, it's impossible to beat. For $5 a month, you get all that content. But the idea is, at $5 a month, you are going out and you are getting other family members of yours to play, and there are more consoles in your household that are doing it, or you're going out and you're marketing for them, and you're grabbing your friends, and you're getting them sucked into the Xbox ecosystem. And man, maybe now they're going to be playing Halo, and they're going to be spending money on those Halo microtransactions. Or man, maybe they're going to be playing Starfield. They're going to want that sick expansion that's going to come to Starfield that adds 38 new purple planets. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to just increase spending in the ecosystem. That's something that a lot of people don't get, is they can lose money on the Game Pass subscription, specifically the subscription, like how much they are getting in from the money from the subscription forever, but the subscription itself being massively profitable, because this isn't like Netflix. This isn't like Spotify. It doesn't exist in a vacuum where the only way it's monetized is itself. Game Pass is the way that Xbox makes money from Game Pass is, it's the subscription itself. It's the DLCs. It's the MTX. It's people purchasing the games when they're leaving the service and they get 20% off, and Microsoft takes 30% of that, like when X game from Square Enix leaves. It's people who are now coming into the Xbox ecosystem, whether it be through the Windows app or it being on a console. They're now getting your Fortnite money. Fortnite's not on Game Pass directly, but you better believe that Microsoft's getting more money from Fortnite because more people are on their consoles. And so it's never going to be the most important thing is how much Game Pass is growing their ecosystem, because that's what's going to end up making the money in the end, is all of those components combined, and they all feed into each other in this great synergistic feedback loop. And by going out and getting more people on a family plan to game with you, you're doing their job for them. You're doing their marketing job for them. You're the person who's going out and saying, hey, get in this service with me. We're going to game all day on Game Pass with all the games we can play there. And it's incredible. It's something that I have been asking for since I knew that NSO had an 8-person plan. When I joined one of my friends for that, and super stoked to be able to convert mine into that, because now I can be like, hey, you're loading up this game today because you have access to it. I don't care if you never bought it, but you and I both have access to this, and I've been wanting to play it with you. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and keep in mind too, this is they're trialing this right before even the Activision Blizzard deal goes through too. Imagine if they time things up really well, and they're like, oh, the family plan or whatever it's going to be called, oh, it's officially going to be launching in this date. Oh, and by the way, the with Activision Blizzard, oh yeah, all those games, this game library, oh yeah, it's coming around the same date too. Like, it's gonna be nuts.
I can already see a meme that I'm going to have one of my friends make when the family plan comes out. You ever seen the Spider-Man meme where it's all the villains smiling in a row? There's like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And they're all smiling. Yeah, it's me and the boys rolling up to play Call of Duty for $25.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Please share that as soon as we get the details on all these. That's gonna be a great meme. Yeah, no, it's certainly interesting. I'm glad, again, this thing was talked about for a very long time. Rumors were about for months. Shockley, buddy, I mean, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Would you take advantage of this in any way? Would you be, sharing with some people that some friends, family members, and, what do you think about the benefit to just Xbox consumers in general?
Shockley, you're muted if you're talking.
Yeah, he's muted. Well, okay, since
yeah, sorry.
There we go. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a pretty dope deal, especially when you're like PS Plus is starting to get better, especially with like the extra tier where they're starting to throw in some day ones like Stray and a few others. But like this would just make it too affordable, like but yeah, I mean, hopefully they bring it at least give it a test over here in our market to at least insiders, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just think about how far this goes if they do go through with it, especially in the US. And then Call of Duty annual release is going right in there. Like, I don't know who's other than the PS Plus subscribers on the base level. Like, I don't know what would be competing with Game Pass at that point. Like, because I know NSO, yeah, the base NSOs, I think I think it's like around like 30. But that's like at $20.
I'll
Or
look it up
even
for you.
less. Yeah, or even less for the if people are doing like the family plan on that. Because I'd love to see the numbers on the expansion pack tier, because I feel like not that many people are actually on that tier with NSO, but because it's just kind of for what they're charging for, I think it's like an extra $30 if you're by yourself too, or something like that.
Oh.
It's
For a single user, it's $20 for 12 months and $45 for the expansion pack for 12 months.
okay.
So it's technically
Yeah.
cheaper than Xbox Live Gold and PS Plus Essential base.
Yeah, but I feel like, especially because they give you those in emulations, been pretty shoddy. But they don't even give you matchmaking for those games. So unless you trade a friend code, you're not playing the online. That was the whole reason I subscribed to it, because I was like, oh, cool, I can play the best, which I think is by far the best Mario Tennis, on the N64. I get to play that and I'm assuming gonna have matchmaking. Like, that's gonna be amazing. That's only a dream, something I could have dreamed of, back in the late 90s. And now I get to play it online, but I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Who do I know of my friends?
Family
Well,
plan's
see, I have
35.
that means I would have to facilitate. Like, I'm trying to get a family plan, enough people on it to do the expansion, so at least I'll have somebody to play with, or at least I can tell them, hey, get on this so we can play. But like, that's the other problem is you'd have to almost go to a looking for group to like find people to even take advantage of this thing that you're paying for. Like, I don't understand.
The
Nintendo,
family
like
plan is
Nintendo's like users
35.
get the worst.
The
Oh, okay.
family plan expansion is 80.
Yeah.
So it's
Like,
$10 per
Nintendo fans get treated like the absolute worst, and we just take it. But yeah, compared to like stuff like that, like this plan's ridiculous, because what they're paying like 80, and they're getting just a few more games and not all that great quality emulation, probably better emulated on the Series S and Series X and developer mode. With RetroArch, and they don't even give you the satisfaction of having like matchmaking to like, oh, there's someone else that's playing this game, even just like a peer-to-peer. Nope, can't even do like basic stuff that consoles did.
There's a reason why it's cheap.
Couple generations ago.
Not even where Xbox was in 2004 with Halo 2 on the original Xbox Live. I think it's why it's that cheap.
Have you guys seen the diagram for online talking?
No.
No.
I mean, I remember that when someone had the picture, like way back when, you had to go, like have you had to have a cell phone and like
You still
Discord.
have to
Oh
use
yeah,
for
yeah,
Nintendo's
I
app.
remember that. Yes, people were flipping their lids about the cell phone thing for communication.
Yeah, like they're so
So
bad.
that was the thing. I get it. You're kind of doing that with Xbox, like at least you're transferring Discord over to the console, but they also weren't doing Bluetooth, so you literally had to be hooked up with cords all around your.
You still have to do that. Like, you still
Well,
have,
they have
like, the Switch,
Bluetooth.
you cannot talk on the Switch. You still have to have a cell phone to do the
Oh,
talk.
okay.
The Bluetooth is only for audio out of the Switch, specifically for
Oh, okay.
for game audio. It doesn't. You still can. There's still no like Nintendo app on the Switch that you can use to talk to other players using the Switch.
Yeah, I don't even know how you do that now. Well, I mean, they have their own app that allows you to voice chat, right?
Yeah, they have an app that allows you to voice chat, but it is.
But then, how do you get the audio from your game audio?
You have to have a phone that does Bluetooth and or that. Actually, I have no idea. I think
Yeah,
you have to have a pair of headphones. I just remember watching the video of Jeff Grubb getting progressively angrier and angrier.
Yeah, like I've seen like some lay out all the wires and how they had to do it. Like, but that was before the Bluetooth update. But
It's bad. And with Xbox, like there is an on system. You can talk to people system. The having to send it over from your phone from Discord is so that you can talk to people with crossplay. And yeah, we're in the infancy of crossplay. It wasn't designed for when the
you
system
can at
first
least
came out. It wasn't designed
you just
for
have to
MPLS.
initiate it. Yeah,
Yeah,
at least
you
you
just
can
have to
transfer
initiate
it
it,
to
take
the
your pocket.
system and put your phone
Yeah.
away for the most part.
Like, and I have a feeling that's how it's going to work on PlayStation too, and that's fine. It is perfectly acceptable. Why? Because I can now talk to my friends. They're going to make it easier in the future. Like, for people who don't know in chat, I'm doing this entire podcast from my Xbox Series X right now. I'm using the Discord functionality right now.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh yeah, that's right. I totally forgot that you were on the Discord. I know that you switched over right before we started, but I totally forgot that you were doing that.
Yeah, and maybe I'll take a screen. I'll take a picture of it and post it on Twitter. Like I see everyone's Discord names, and maybe I won't post it on Twitter. But like I see everyone's Discord nicknames. I see the name of the channel from the server that we're in. It's great. It works great. Now, are there some quality of life features I'd love, like being able to save this channel so I don't have to transfer it from my phone to the console again, like after the first time? Yeah. Am I very happy that I can do this? Yeah. Poor Nintendo people. I love Nintendo games, but like, my lord, does Nintendo take advantage of their player base?
Yeah, Nintendo is a special beast all in itself. Like, they make some astounding games, especially their first party. But yeah, I don't know. They have some real boners. I'll say that. When it comes to like their online stuff, and like you said, just how they treat their fan base. I don't know, just very wacky company. But hey, they're successful. They're successful, and you kind of need them in the console space, just for competition, anyways. MLD, I mean, I'd love to know your thoughts on the Game Pass Family Plan. That again, is just available to insiders at the moment, but it'll probably be spreading soon to other people. Yeah, got any thoughts on it? I mean, it's something that we had talked about for a while because there were rumors of it. Is this something that, I don't know, you'd be interested in sharing with a few buds, or I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on this?
Actually, yeah, I am going to use it myself. Right now, I'm using Game Share with my wife on the same console here, but she doesn't have like gold for multiplayer. But this way, it'd be a nice way that between the two of us, we'd be saving money, and we could finally like play games like Sea of Thieves or Grounded, because we still have like an old Xbox One X in the house as well, so we can finally do that. So, but I also have a couple friends as well. I think they would want to just get in on the action here, and I think that's the whole point, though, because again, it's great that they're following off Nintendo, because it's all about getting people in, because friends, yeah, like you guys said before, friends do their own marketing, and people online, they miss the mark when they say that Game Pass makes no money, or they're losing money because like you're only making $5 a piece if you have like 4 people with you. That's not what it's about. Xbox is looking for engagement. That $5 a month, it means that you are in. And the more you are in, the more you will spend money on other things like microtransactions, DLC, buying games. As long as you are in, the fact that you're paying $5 or $15 by yourself for Game Pass does not matter. They care about numbers and engagement, and this actually, I think, will be it's a very underrated thing. Like, when the Michael Proctor said like Game Pass will grow to 100 million with Call of Activision Blizzard, right? I think this will be a big help in that sense. Friends will talk to other friends that they can trust, and once they're in, and that will keep snowballing. Instead of one Game Pass account per household, it could be multiple per household, and so on and so forth, as long as the word of mouth keeps spreading. So I think that this will go a very long way to actually balloon Xbox Game Pass subscribers. And I mean, I'm certainly going to take advantage of it now that I know that it's going to save some money. And especially in this climate with inflation and higher cost of living, who's going to pass up the opportunity to save some money? To play like literally the best service in all of gaming. It's a pretty hard deal to pass up. And unlike Nintendo's online platform, Xbox's online platform is pretty cutting edge. So it's a pretty good deal, and frankly, it's unbeatable with value now, even more so now with this. So the sooner this becomes available to everybody, the better. At least have it available for the holidays. That would be pretty ideal. And I think they'll get a significant boost to Game Pass as a result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the big takeaway. I think a lot of people, again, depending on the terminology, whether it's again between family, friends, co-workers, whatever it may be, just I think a lot of people are going to end up taking advantage of this because, I mean, as the panel said, it's a great deal, and you're going to hear a lot of other shows talk about this because, again, you're saving a lot of money, and it just makes sense for people to kind of go in on this as a group. And it is going to be its own marketing thing. I mean, I hate to say it in a lot of ways, but I mean, this is going to spread like word of mouth when it's finally released. I think there's going to be a great deal of people taking advantage of it, especially, you know, again, I can't tell, like, this isn't advice per se, but, you know, just looking at how the economic environment is looking at the moment and within the next 6 months to year and so on, you know, I think a lot of people will be leaning towards going to this because it financially just makes sense for a lot of people to go in on it. Fellas,
you can keep doing your hobby. You don't have to give it up, even though it's financially hard times, because they've made it financially accessible.
Exactly.
And they'll make the bulk of their money off of the whales. They're essentially they're turning the accessibility of playing regular games into something that's kind of similar to a live service game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and no, it's again, I just find it really interesting that they're evolving the service, branching it off to different aspects, and honestly, you know, that's what I appreciate too. Like I try not to be the big voucher for these services, but I don't know, like Game Pass is just really handy, and they're making it more affordable as time goes on. I mean, we could talk about variety of what's in Game Pass and so on. You know, we could go into the details on that, and but overall, yeah, no, it's a really good service, and I'm glad that they're expanding the variety of choices that we have. But on that, guys, like, does anyone have anything else to add to this before we end off? Yes, no. Okay. All right. I think on that note, we'll start to sunset tonight's episode. And I thought we had a really good conversation tonight, fellas. We went over, you know, a bunch of different things, including Sony's concerns over Microsoft owning Call of Duty, Xbox revealing an Xbox Game Pass family plan, well, at least for the insiders so far anyways, and Xbox Series S getting a little bit of a boost of in performance-wise. You know, that's pretty awesome, and I hope they keep doing that if they can. As always, with you know, each and every show, it was great having you all join us tonight, listening to our discussions, I should say, on the various topics. And hey, guys, if you enjoyed our chat, then please consider giving this show a like, sharing this episode out, and subbing to the channel because, hey, we really appreciate you being here. And everybody in the chat, you know, you guys were awesome tonight. I saw there was a lot of back and forth going on. And again, guys, you know, I appreciate all the debates and whatnot in the chat. At least, you know, you guys are, you know, having some interesting debates going on there. I can appreciate that. But overall, guys, you rock. And to all of our listeners, thank you for joining us tonight. But yeah, next let's go on to the outros, and I will start with Crusader. Buddy, I thought you had some really good points tonight. Where can all these fine folks find you at?
Yeah, you can find me at Crusader3456 on basically every platform. People may notice I just had some rebranding done. I want to do a shout out to Anubis. You can find him over on Twitter and Twitch. He did excellent work for me, making sure that I had, you know, good branding, because, you know, I'm on this show all the time. I'm starting to be on a lot of other shows, and, you know, it just looks good, and it keeps my Garrus persona that everyone knows me for, because, you know, shocker, I love Mass Effect. But yeah, you know, Crusader 3456 everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to say, it looks pretty good there, looking pretty sharp. I see Crusader in there in the white, and yeah, you're still keeping your Garrus pick going on there. Really nice.
Yeah, and it's got the Mass Effect logo swoosh through it. Like if you compare like the way that BioWare markets Mass Effect, that's like the same like swoosh through the word.
Oh, okay. I had no idea, to be honest. I guess I have
Yeah.
to.
It's all inspired by Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are a massive fan, to coin the pun. But
People, I'm not an Xbot. I'm a BioWare bot.
well, hey, it's good that you're separating that for us to make sure we get that. But no, very good, very good. Hey, man, you like the BioWare games, no doubt, and I know how much of a dedicated Mass Effect fan you are. So, I mean, they are some pretty damn good games. But let's see here, and Yobi really likes that in the chat. Hey, Yobi, yeah, he's a huge Mass Effect fan. Let's see, moving on down here, General MLD Pal. Hey, buddy, I thought you had a great show tonight. Lots of excellent points. Where can all the fine people tuning in follow you at?
Thank you. Great show, guys. You guys can follow me at MLD Ghost on Twitter, gamertag Ghost MLD. You can find me playing this and that, and looking forward to next week. Let's see what Xbox brings to us.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you know what? That's the thing, right? There's all this Xbox-centric news too, and it's like I know we cover like a whole bunch of different things, but really there's not a dull moment going on with Xbox. So it's just kind of a great time to be an Xbox fan to be able to cover all this stuff. So again, I'm pretty happy, keeping them in the news cycle anyway. So as long as they keep revealing some things, then hey, I'm a happy camper, like I said. Moving on down here, Mr. Centurion, the Tombstone Man. Where can everybody find you at?
Well, gentlemen, it was a great Sunday night. Enjoyed the conversation. Really enjoyed a lot of the info that I've absorbed here tonight. The chat was definitely out of control and pretty interesting. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. For those interested in finding me, you can find me at Centurion1307 on, of course, YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter. When it comes to my YouTube channel, right now, the majority of what goes on my channel is podcasting. Due to things out of my control, especially with my health, I took the advice of a very good friend of mine, and I am pausing at least, taking 14 hours and creating a YouTube video to just kind of focus on things I got going on with me to be here for the long run. So for those who do check out my YouTube channel, I do plan to keep adding more content. I just don't know when that's going to take place. But if you are interested in the podcasting side of things, I'm podcasting tomorrow with my good brother from across the pond, Stubbs Gaming. We're doing an episode of Plastic Platforms on his channel this week. I also do Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy Hood, Bomber, the amazing crew over there on Gaming Beyond the Box. They just did their first show in about a couple months this last Wednesday. It was absolutely fun. And you can also find me here every Sunday night with this amazing group of individuals right here on the TXR podcast. If anybody could ever listen to me and do as I say, please subscribe. Everybody here on this entire panel, everyone here is definitely a great individual.
Oh, well, that's really kind of you, say, bud. And I'm sure everybody tuning in, listening in, and participating in the chat, they're all looking forward to what you have in store down the line. And hey, you know what? Again, I totally understand too. Being a content creator, I've kind of slacked in some ways, but then again, it's because of my situation right now with my house renovations. But you know what? Hey, everybody's pretty understanding, but no worries on that front. And let's see, moving on down the line here, Eric Shockley, buddy. Hey, some really good points on all the topics. I thought you did some really well there. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, good topics today, and thanks for stopping by.
Well said, short and sweet. And you know what? I'm going to make it short and sweet too. Of course, I'm Invader, and you guys can follow my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming. Also, check me out on the Bluebird app, Twitter at Invader_1986. A great show tonight, guys. And hey, you know what? We're already looking forward to the next one. And I mean that. We really love doing this show. But anyways, we will catch you later. Have a good one, folks.